Dr. Taemin Kim was having his morning coffee when the alarm started, screaming. The sound cut through the peaceful quiet of the research lab like a knife. Red lights flashed across every wall and ceiling. Taemin dropped his cup and watched the dark liquid splash across his datapad. 3 years working on Kepler 7 research station, and he had never heard the emergency alarm this loud. All crew report to stations immediately, came the voice over the speakers. It was Commander Hyjin Park, and she sounded worried. Code. Read in Cargo Bay 7. This is not a drill. Taemin grabbed his lab coat and ran toward the command center. The hallways were full of crew members moving fast. Some looked scared. Others looked confused. The alien crew members looked worse than scared. The tall, thin Vex were clicking their mandibles in distress. The floating luminari were changing colors rapidly from blue to deep red. Even the tough Korth were backing away from something. Happening? Taemin asked Dr. So-young Choi as they reached the command center together. Something big came aboard during the night, So-young said. Her face was pale. Security found it in the cargo bay this morning. Commander Park sealed the whole section. The command center was chaos. Screens showed data streams flowing too fast to read. Officers were shouting orders. In the center of it all stood Commander Park. Her black hair pulled back tight, her eyes fixed on the main screen. Dr. Kim, she called when she saw him. Good. We need you here. Taemin moved closer to the main screen. What he saw made his breath catch in his throat. The cargo bay camera showed a creature unlike anything he had ever seen. It was massive, easily the size of a small shuttle. It looked like a wolf, but not quite. Its body was covered in fur that seemed to be made of crystal. Fur shifted colors as it moved, going from silver to blue to deep purple. When the creature turned its head, Taemin could see its eyes. They were large and intelligent, glowing. With an inner light, how did it get on board? Taemin asked. We don't know, Commander Park said. Security says all the bay doors were sealed. No ships docked last night. It's like it just appeared. The creature was pacing back and forth across the cargo bay floor. Its movements were smooth and graceful, but Taemin could see it was hurt. There were dark patches on its crystal fur that looked like wounds. When it walked, it favored its left front leg. The bioscanners are going crazy, reported security. Chief Junho Lee from his station. This thing is putting out electromagnetic pulses every few seconds. They're getting stronger, as if to prove his point. The lights in the command center flickered. Some of the smaller screens went dark for a moment before coming back online. It's affecting our systems, Commander Park said. Engineering says, if those pulses get much stronger, we could lose life support on the lower decks. Taemin studied the creature more carefully. Something about the way it moved bothered him. It wasn't just pacing randomly. There was a pattern to it. The creature would walk in a large circle, then stop and paw at the floor, then circle again. Commander, said Dr. Hiram Song from the Alien Relations Console. I'm getting reports. From all the non-human crew, they're requesting immediate transfer to the upper decks. Some are asking to be evacuated completely. What are they saying? Commander Park asked. The Vex delegation leader used the term death song. The Luminary are calling it ending scream. The Korth ambassador locked himself in his quarters and won't come out. Taemin frowned. In his years studying alien species, he had learned that fear responses varied wildly between different races. But he had never seen all of them afraid of the same thing at the same time. What about the bio readings? He asked. Is it dying? So-young checked her medical scanners. That's the strange part. Its vital signs are all over the place, but they're not showing death. They're showing something else. High stress, elevated hormones, rapid breathing. It looks more like... She paused, studying the data more carefully. More like what? Commander Park asked. Like it's in pain, but not from injury. More like emotional. Distress. The creature on the screen suddenly stopped pacing. It lifted its massive head and let out a sound that made everyone in the command center freeze. The sound came through the speakers as a deep, haunting howl that seemed to go on forever. It was beautiful and terrible at the same time. When the howl ended, alarms started going off all over the station. Power fluctuations on decks 4 through 7, reported engineer Min Soo-han. That sound did something to our systems. The alien crew members are getting worse. Dr. Song added. Some of them are saying they can't stay on the station. They're requesting immediate evacuation. Commander Park rubbed her temples. We can't evacuate half our crew because of one creature, but we can't let it keep damaging the station either. What about sedatives? Taman asked. If it's in distress, maybe we can calm it down. Already tried, So-young said. I fired 3 tranquilizer darts at it remotely. They bounced right off its fur. Crystal coating is harder than metal. Taman moved closer to the screen. The creature was pacing again, but now he could see something else. Every time it completed a circle, it would use its powerful claws to scrape at the floor. It was making a depression in the metal decking. It's nesting, he said quietly. What? Commander Park asked. Look at the pattern. It's not just pacing. It's creating a nest. That's why it's scraping the floor. So-young checked her scanners again. If it's nesting, then the hormone readings make sense. But that would mean... She went quiet, staring at the data. That would mean what? Commander Park demanded. That would mean it's pregnant, Taman said. It's not dying. Right. It's about to give birth. The command center went silent except for the hum of computers and the distant sound of alarms. On the screen, the massive crystal wolf continued its endless circling, preparing for something none of them had expected. Sir Junho said quietly, if it's about to give birth and it's already this agitated, what's going to happen when the process actually starts? Commander Park looked at the readings showing power fluctuations throughout the station. She looked at the reports of alien crew members demanding evacuation. She looked at the creature on the screen, beautiful and dangerous and desperate. I don't know, she said, but I have a feeling we're about to find out. As if responding to her words, the creature let out another howl. This one was longer and more desperate than the first. The lights in the command center went out completely for 3 seconds before emergency power kicked in. When the lights came back, everyone was staring at the screen. The creature had stopped pacing. It was looking directly at the camera, its glowing eyes seeming to stare right through the screen at them. Tae-Min felt a chill run down his spine. Those eyes held intelligence. They held pain. And they held something else. They held a plea for help that transcended species and language. The question was, would anyone be brave enough to answer? 2 hours later, things were getting worse. Tae-Min stood in the observation deck overlooking Cargo Bay 7, watching the creature through the thick safety glass. The crystal wolf had grown more restless. Its pacing was faster now, more desperate. Every few minutes it would stop and let out that haunting howl, and each time the station's lights would flicker. The electromagnetic pulses are getting stronger, Security Chief Junho Lee reported through his communicator. Engineering says we might lose main power if this keeps up. Dr. So-young Choi joined Taman at the observation window. Her face was tired. She had been monitoring the creature's vital signs for hours without rest. Any change? Taman asked. It's getting worse, So-young said. Heart rate is up 30%. Brain activity is off the charts, and the hormone levels. She shook her head. I've never seen readings like this. Below them, the creature suddenly stopped pacing. It lifted its massive head and sniffed the air. The crystal fur along its back began to glow brighter, shifting from blue to deep purple to silver. Then it did something that made both humans step back from the window. It looked directly at them, the creature's glowing eyes fixed on the observation deck. Even through the thick glass, Taman could feel the intelligence behind that gaze. The creature tilted its head, studying them. Then it did something unexpected. It whimpered. The sound was soft, almost like a dog asking for help. But when it came through the speakers, it was mixed with that same electromagnetic pulse. The lights in the observation deck dimmed. It knows. We're here, So-young whispered. More than that, Taman said. It's trying to communicate. His communicator buzzed. Commander Park's voice came through, tight with stress. Dr. Kim, report to the command center immediately. We have a situation. Taman and So-young hurried through the corridors. The station felt different now. There were fewer crew members moving around. The ones they did see looked nervous. As they passed the alien quarters section, they could hear strange sounds coming from behind closed doors. Clicking, humming, low moaning sounds. The command center was in chaos when they arrived. Half the workstations were empty. The ones that were occupied were being run by human crew members only. "Where is everyone?" Taman asked. "Gone, Commander," Park said. "The entire Vex delegation requested emergency transport off the station 2 hours ago. The Luminari are hiding in their quarters and won't come out. The Korth ambassador tried to break through the airlock to get to his ship. What about the civilian researchers?" "The non-human ones are demanding evacuation. The human researchers are staying, but they're scared." Commander Park pulled up a station map on the main screen. "Look at this." The map showed the station's decks in different colors. The lower 3 decks, where Cargo Bay 7 was located, were marked in red. The middle decks were yellow, only the upper 2 decks showed green. "The alien crew members won't go below Deck 5, Commander Park explained. "They say the creature's presence is too strong down there. Some of them are getting physically sick." Dr. Hiram Song looked up from her console. "I've been monitoring the alien communications. They're not just afraid. They're saying the creature is sending out some kind of psychic distress signal. They can feel its pain." "Can humans feel it too?" Taman asked. "That's the strange part," Dr. Song said. "The humans on the lower decks report feeling uneasy, but nothing like what the aliens are experiencing. It's like humans are somehow immune to whatever this creature is broadcasting." Another howl echoed through the station.
Oh.
This one was longer and more desperate than before. The main screen flickered, and several smaller displays went dark completely. "That's it," Commander Park said. "Engineering reports were at critical levels. If the creature's distress gets any stronger, we'll lose life support on the lower decks." "What about the upper decks?" Taman asked. "We might lose them too. The creature's electromagnetic field is growing. It's affecting systems throughout the station now." Engineer Minsuhan's voice came through the speakers from the engineering section. "Commander, I'm reading massive power fluctuations. Whatever that thing is doing, it's building towards something big." Commander Park turned to face the senior staff. "The Alien Council is demanding we jettison the creature immediately. They say it's too dangerous to keep aboard." "Jettison it?" Cy-Young said. "You mean throw it out into space?" "That's exactly what I mean. The Council says it's the only way to save the station." Taman felt sick. "We can't do that. It's a living being, and if it's pregnant, then—" "Jettisoning, it kills 2 creatures instead of 1, Commander Park said. "But if we don't do something, it might kill everyone on this station." The main screen suddenly showed a new feed from Cargo Bay 7. The creature was no longer pacing. It was lying on its side in the center of the depression it had made in the floor. Its crystal fur was glowing so brightly that the camera had to adjust its settings to compensate. "Oh no," Cy-Young breathed, checking her medical scanners. "It's starting." "Starting what?" Commander Park asked. "The birth process, those hormone readings I've been tracking, they're not just elevated anymore, they're spiking. This creature's going into labor." As if to confirm her words, the creature let out a howl unlike any they had heard before. This one was filled with pain and desperation. The sound seemed to go on forever. Rising and falling like a song of suffering, every light on the station went out. Emergency power kicked in after 5 seconds, bathing everything in red light. Alarms were blaring from every section. "Hull breach on Deck 3, someone reported. "Atmospheric processors are failing," came another voice. "Life support is at 40% and dropping." Commander Park looked at the chaos around her, then at the screen showing the creature in obvious distress. "That's it. I'm giving the order to jettison." "Wait," Taman said. "There has to be another way." "There is no other way," Commander Park said. "I have 300 crew members to think about. I won't let one creature, no matter how magnificent, kill them all." She turned to the weapons console. "Junho, prepare to open the cargo bay doors. We'll give the creature 1 minute to exit on its own. If it doesn't, we'll use the emergency." "Protocols, Commander, please," Taman said. "Give me time to study the readings. There might be something we're missing." "Time is what we don't have," Commander Park said. "Look at the power grid. Look at the life support readings. We have maybe an hour before this station becomes uninhabitable." The creature howled again. This time the sound was different. It was weaker, more desperate. On the screen they could see it struggling to get back to its feet. It's trying to stand, Young said. The readings show it's in active labor now. It can't control the electromagnetic pulses anymore. Taemin stared at the screen. Something was bothering him about the creature's behavior, but he couldn't put his finger on what it was. The way it moved, the way it had looked at them through the observation window, the way it had whimpered like it was asking for help. There's something else, he said quietly. Something we're not seeing. What do you mean? Commander Park asked. Look at it, Taemin said. Really look at it. Da 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 da. Way it moves, the way it reacts to us. This isn't just any alien creature. There's something familiar about it. As he spoke, the creature managed to get to its feet. It looked around the cargo bay, its glowing eyes searching. Then it did something that made everyone in the command center stop talking. It looked directly at the camera again, and in that crystal fur around its neck, something small and dark caught the light. Zoom in on its neck, Taemin said urgently. The camera focused closer. There, almost hidden in the creature's flowing crystal fur, was a small, dark object. It looked like a collar, but it was old and worn. Is that what I think it is? Sion asked. Taemin's heart was racing. Can you enhance the image? The camera zoomed in further. The dark object was definitely a collar, and there were markings on it. Small symbols that looked almost like writing, Commander Taemin said, his voice shaking. I need access to the historical database. Right now. The historical database. We don't have time for research. Please, those symbols on the collar. I think I've seen them before. Commander Park looked at the chaos around her, then at the desperate creature on the screen. You have 10 minutes, she said. Then we jettison, with or without answers. Taemin ran to the nearest research terminal. His fingers flew over the keyboard as he searched through centuries of human records. Somewhere in those files was the answer to what was happening. He was sure of it. Behind him, the creature howled again. The lights flickered, and the countdown to jettison began. 10 minutes to save a life he was just beginning to understand. Taemin's hands shook as he typed search commands into the historical database. 9 minutes left. Around him, the command center buzzed with activity as crew members prepared for the jettison procedure. Historical records, human space exploration, he muttered to himself. Early missions, first contact protocols, lost expeditions. The screen filled with thousands of files, too many to search through in 9 minutes. He needed to narrow it down. Computer, search for Korean symbols in historical records, he said. Search parameters too broad, the computer replied. Please specify time period. Taemin looked at the image of the collar on the main screen. The symbols were old, worn smooth. By time, they looked like traditional Korean writing, but not the modern kind. These were older, more traditional. Computer, search for Korean symbols 8th century to 10th century style. Cross-reference with space exploration records. Searching. The computer said, found 12 matches. 12 was better than thousands. Taemin opened the first file. Minutes, Commander Park called out. The first file was about Korean art found on early colony ships, not what he needed. The second was about traditional Korean writing systems. Still not right. The third file made his heart stop. Mission report. Deep Space Exploration Vessel Cheonji, he read aloud. Mission date, 2387. Mission commander, Dr. Woojin Kim. Kim his family name. Minutes, Commander Park said. Tae-Min opened the file with trembling fingers. The mission report was classified, but his access codes as a senior xenobiologist got him through the security locks. Mission summary. The Cheonji was the first human vessel to travel beyond the Andromeda Spiral. Contact was lost with the ship in 2389. All crew presumed dead. Mission included first contact protocols for unknown species. Taemin scrolled down through the technical details. Supply lists, crew assignments, navigation data, nothing about the symbols. 6 minutes, Commander Park called. Then he found it. A personal log entry from Dr. Woojin Kim, dated just 3 days before the ship's final transmission. Personal log. Dr. Woojin Kim, Chief Xenobiologist. We have made contact with an extraordinary species on the planet we've designated as Haven. They appear to be wolf-like creatures, but their intelligence level is remarkable. They have formed a pack structure that includes space travel capabilities. Taemin's eyes widened. Wolf-like creatures. Space travel. The most interesting development is that one of the younger pack members has formed a bond with me. Following traditional Korean customs, I have given her a name, Hanyul. It means sky or heaven. In the old language, she wears a collar I made for her, marked with her name in traditional Korean script. Taemin's blood ran cold. Hanyul, the collar. It was all connected. 5 minutes, Commander Park announced. He scrolled down faster. There had to be more information. Pack leader has indicated that their species forms lifetime bonds with other intelligent species. Once bonded, they consider the relationship sacred across generations. Hanyul's descendants will remember our friendship even if we never meet again. Taemin looked up at the main screen. The creature was still lying on its side, its crystal fur glowing brightly. But now, he could see something else. It's the way it held its head, the shape of its ears, the intelligent look in its eyes. For minutes, Commander Park called. Commander, wait, Taemin said. I found something. Whatever it is, make it fast. Commander Park replied. Taemin read from the screen. The creature down there isn't just any alien. It's connected to humans. To my family specifically. 800 years ago, my ancestor made contact with this species. He formed a bond with one of them named Hanyul. That's impossible, Commander Park said. That was 8 centuries ago. The mission report says these creatures pass down bonds. Through generations, the creature in the cargo bay is wearing a collar with Korean symbols. I think it's a descendant of the original Hanyul. 3 minutes, Junho called out. On the main screen, the creature struggled to its feet again.
Yes.
Time? It looked directly at the camera and made a sound that was different from its previous howls. It was softer, more pleading. It's trying to tell us something, So-young said from her medical station. The brain activity patterns show it's attempting communication. But Taemin scrolled through more of the mission report. Here, listen to this. Dr. Woojin Kim wrote, the most remarkable thing about these creatures is their ability to sense genetic relationships. Hanyul can identify members of my family even through recordings. She responds to our voices, our scent, our presence in ways that suggest a connection deeper than normal animal bonding. 2 minutes, Commander Park said. But her voice was less certain now. Commander, what if the creature isn't just sick? Or in labor? What if it came here specifically looking for humans? For my family? That's a nice theory, Dr. Kim. We can't risk the entire station based on an 800-year-old mission report. The creature howled again. This time the sound was weaker than before. The electromagnetic pulse that followed was also weaker. So-young said, studying her readings. Something's changing. The creature's distress levels are decreasing. What do you mean? Commander Park asked. Ever since Dr. Kim started reading those files, the creature's vital signs have been stabilizing. Heart rate is down. Brain activity is more focused. It's like it can sense that we're learning about it. Taemin stared at the screen. The creature was looking at the camera again, but this time its expression seemed different, less desperate. More hopeful? 1 minute, Junho said. Cargo bay doors are ready to open. Commander, please, Taemin said. Give me 1 more minute to check something. He scrolled to the end of the mission report. There was a final entry from Dr. Woojin. Kim. Final log entry. We are leaving Haven tomorrow, but Hanyul has made it clear that her pack will not forget us. She has learned to recognize the sound of my name and the names of my family. In traditional Korean, I have taught her the word for little sky, Hanula. She responds to it as if it were her own name. Taemin's heart was racing. Commander, the creature's name. It's not just Hanyul. It's Hanyul, little sky. Time's up, Commander Park said. Junho, open the cargo bay doors. Wait, Taemin shouted. Let me try something first. He ran to the communications console and switched on the speakers that connected to the cargo bay. His finger hovered over the activation button. Dr. Kim, step away from that console, Commander Park ordered. Just 1 word, Taemin said. I'm wrong. You can jettison the creature immediately. But if I'm right... He pressed the button before anyone could stop him. The cargo bay speakers crackled to life. Taman took a deep breath and spoke in a clear, calm voice. He used the old Korean pronunciation, the way his grandfather had taught him when he was a child. Hanyul. Hanyul. The effect was immediate. The creature's head snapped up, its glowing eyes fixed on the speaker near the camera. For a moment, it was completely still. Then it did something that made everyone in the command center gasp. It stood up, despite being in labor. It walked slowly toward the camera. And it made a sound that was nothing like its previous howls. It was a gentle whimper of recognition. The electromagnetic pulses, Sa Young said in amazement. If stopped completely. Heart rate is normalizing, another technician reported. Brain activity patterns show extreme positive response, Dr. Song added. The creature sat down in front of the camera, the way a dog might sit for its master. Its crystal fur was still glowing, but the light was softer now. Warmer, Commander Park stared at the screen. It recognized the name. More than that, Taman said. It recognized me, my voice, my genetic signature, something. The bond Dr. Woojin Kim wrote about. It's real. The creature tilted its head and made another soft sound. This time it wasn't a howl or a whimper. It was almost like a greeting. Cancel the jettison procedure, Commander Park said quietly. Commander? Junho asked. You heard me? Cancel it? She turned to Taman. Dr. Kim, that creature is still in labor, still dangerous. The electromagnetic pulses might start again. Then let me go down there, Taman said. Absolutely not. Commander, it knows me, it trusts me. If it's really the descendant of Hanyul, then it came here for a reason. Came here looking for help. On the screen, the creature suddenly tensed. Its labor was continuing, and the pain was clearly getting worse. The birth process is accelerating, So Young reported. If this creature is going to survive, it needs help soon. Commander Park looked at the screen, then at Taman, then at the reports of stabilizing systems throughout the station. Against my better judgment, she said finally, I'm going to let you try. But you go in with full protective gear, and you maintain constant communication. At the first sign of trouble, you get out of there. Taman nodded. I understand. Yes. As he headed for the door, the creature on the screen looked at the camera one more time. In its eyes, Taman saw something that gave him hope. He saw trust. The descendant of Hanyul was waiting for him, just as his ancestor had promised it would be. 800 years of separation were about to end. But first, he had to help bring new life into the universe. Taman stood outside Cargo Bay 7, wearing a full environmental suit. His hands were shaking as he checked the communication system one last time. Through the thick door, he could hear the creature moving around. Occasionally, a soft whimper would echo through the metal walls. Dr. Kim, are you ready? Commander Park's voice came through his helmet speakers. As ready as I'll ever be, Taman replied in his left hand. He carried something that might seem strange for meeting a dangerous alien creature. It was a small, worn book that had belonged to his great-grandfather. Korean poetry, written in the old style. It's the same style of writing that was on the creature's collar. Remember, Sa Young's voice joined the conversation. The creature is in active labor. It's unpredictable. If it shows any signs of aggression, you get out immediately. Understand, Taman said. Engineer Minsu Han's voice crackled through the speakers. The creature's electromagnetic field is stable right now. But if it gets excited or scared, we could see another power surge. Just be careful, Commander Park said. We'll be monitoring everything from here. Taman placed his hand on the door. Control. Beyond this door was a creature that might kill him. But it was also a creature that had traveled across the galaxy to find his family. The descendant of Hanyul was the wolf that had bonded with his ancestor 8 centuries ago. He pressed the button. The door slid open with a soft hiss. The cargo bay was dim, lit only by emergency lighting and the soft glow coming from the creatures. Crystal fur. The air smelled different, like rain and electricity. Taman stepped inside slowly, his heart pounding so hard he was sure the creature could hear it. Neil Dash. I was lying on her side in the center of the depression. She had made him the floor. She was even more magnificent up close. Her crystal fur shimmered with colors that seemed to move and flow like water. Her eyes, large and intelligent, tracked his movement as he entered. "Hello, Hanyula," Tamyun said softly in Korean. The creature's ears perked up. She made a low sound, almost like a dog greeting someone it knew. "That's incredible," Sa-young's voice whispered in his helmet. Her stress levels just dropped significantly. Tamyun took another step closer. The creature didn't move away. Instead, she watched him with those glowing eyes, tilting her head slightly. "I know you're scared," Tamyun said, still speaking Korean. "I know you're in pain, but I'm here to help." He slowly sat down on the floor, about 10 feet away from the creature. It was important not to seem threatening. He'd studied enough animal behavior to know that approach mattered. "Hey," La struggled to lift her head. When she did, Tamyun could see the collar around her neck more clearly. It was old, made of some kind of dark metal. The Korean symbols were worn but still visible. His ancestors' handwriting preserved across 8 centuries. "You've been looking for us, haven't you?" Tamyun said. "Looking for the family of Dr. Woojin Kim." The creature made another soft sound. This time, it sounded almost like agreement. "Dr. Kim." Commander Park's voice came through his helmet. "The creature's vital signs are stabilizing. Whatever you're doing, keep doing it." Tamyun opened the poetry book. The pages were yellow with age, but the words were still clear. He began to read in the old Korean style, the way his grandfather had taught him. Watching over the valley below, the wolf runs free under the endless sky, carrying the dreams of those who came before. Hanyola's reaction was immediate. Her eyes widened, and she made a sound that was almost like a sigh of relief. Her crystal fur began to glow more softly, the colors shifting from blue to warm silver. She recognizes the language. Dr. Song's voice came through the speakers. Her brain activity shows she's processing the sounds as familiar. Tamyun continued. Reading. The poems were about nature, about loyalty, about the bonds between different creatures. As he read, Hanyola slowly, carefully moved closer to him. Doctor. Kim So-young's voice was urgent. Her labor is progressing. Birth could happen any moment. Tamyun closed the book and looked at the creature. She was only a few feet away. Now, close enough that he could see his reflection in her glowing eyes. You need help, don't you? He said softly. Ah, whimpered. Then she did something that shocked everyone watching through the cameras. She carefully, gently placed her massive head near Tamyun's feet. It was a gesture of complete trust. I don't believe this, Commander Park's voice whispered. Tae-Min slowly reached out his hand. Hanyolai didn't pull away. His gloved fingers touched her crystal fur, and it was warm, like touching living glass. She made a contented sound. It's okay, Tamyun said. I'm here. My family is here. We won't abandon you. Suddenly, Hanyolai tensed. Her breathing became rapid and shallow. The crystal fur along her back began to glow brighter. Contraction. So-young reported. This is it. The birth is starting. Anule let out a sound of pain, but it was different from her earlier howls. This was quieter, more controlled. She was trying not to frighten the human who had come to help her. What do I do? Tamyun asked. Just stay calm, So-young said. Talk to her. Keep her relaxed. Most births happen naturally if the mother doesn't. Panic. Tamyun began reading from the poetry book again, his voice steady despite his racing heart. As he read, he kept one hand gently resting on Hanali's head. Her breathing gradually became more regular. Dr. Kim, Engineer Minsu's voice came through. The electromagnetic readings are fascinating. Instead of chaotic pulses, the creature is generating a steady, controlled field. It's like she's trying to protect you from her own power. Another contraction hit. This one was stronger. Hanali's claws scraped against the metal floor, but she didn't move away from Tamyun. You're doing great, Tamyun said. Just breathe. Remember, your ancestor trusted my ancestor. We're family, Hanyulai. We're pack. The word pack seemed to have a special meaning for her. Hanyula looked at him with something like gratitude in her eyes. Energy spike detected, came a report. From the command center, but it's controlled, focused. The birth process continued for what felt like hours but was probably only minutes. Taemin kept reading, kept talking, kept his hand on Hanyuli's head. He told her about Earth, about his family, about how her ancestor Hanyul had been remembered, in stories passed down through generations. Then finally it happened. A small form appeared beside Hanyul, then another. 2 cubs, each about the size of a house cat, covered in crystal fur that pulsed with gentle light. Hanyul, immediately, began cleaning her cubs, her long tongue carefully grooming their tiny bodies. They made small mewing sounds like kittens. 2 healthy cubs, Soyoung reported. All vital signs are normal. Taemin watched in amazement as the newborns began to move toward their mother, instinctively seeking warmth and food. Their crystal fur was softer than their mother's, more like down than glass. Then Hanyule did something that no one expected. She gently picked up one of the cubs in her mouth and placed it near Taemin. Dr. Kim, Commander Park's voice was filled with wonder. "She's offering you one of her cubs." The tiny creature crawled toward Taemin's leg, its crystal fur glowing softly. When it reached him, it curled up against his environmental suit and made a contented purring sound. "It's a bonding ritual," Dr. Song said. "She's making you part of her pack, part of her family." Taemin looked down at the tiny creature curled against him, then at Hanyulai, who was watching him with tired but happy eyes. "Thank you," he whispered. In Korean, "Thank you for trusting us." Hanyule made a soft sound that seemed like a reply. Then she settled down to rest, keeping one cub close to her for nursing while the other remained with Taemin. Dr. Kim, Commander Park said, "I think you've just made the most important first contact in human history." Taemin smiled as he gently stroked the tiny cub's crystal fur. 800 years of separation had ended. The bond between human and Starwolf had been renewed, and it was just the beginning. 3 hours later, Taemin was still sitting in the cargo bay with Hanyule and her cubs. The tiny creature that had been given to him was sleeping peacefully in his lap. He had removed his helmet after Soyoung confirmed that the air in the cargo bay was safe to breathe. The atmosphere had changed completely. Where before there had been chaos and fear, now there was peace. The electromagnetic pulses had stopped entirely. The station's power systems were running normally. Even the alien crew members were beginning to venture back to the lower decks. "How are they doing?" Commander Park's voice came through the intercom. "Mother and cubs are healthy," Taemin replied softly, trying not to wake the sleeping cub in his lap. "Hanyulai is resting, but she's alert. The cubs are nursing normally." Dr. Soyoung entered the cargo bay carrying a medical scanner and a tray of equipment. She moved slowly and quietly, aware that she was entering a very special space. "May I examine them?" she asked. Kneel dash. I raised her head and looked at Soyoung. For a moment, Taemin wasn't sure how the creature would react to another human. Then, Hanyulai made a soft, chuffing sound that seemed like approval. "She says it's okay," Taemin said with a smile. Soyoung carefully ran her medical scanner over Hanyulai and the cubs. "Remarkable," she said. "Air biology is unlike anything I've ever seen. The crystal fur isn't just decorative. It's part of their nervous system. That's how they generate the electromagnetic fields. And the cubs? Perfectly healthy. Their crystal development is just beginning. In a few days, they'll probably be able to generate their own small electromagnetic fields." The cub in Taemin's lap stirred and opened its eyes. They were smaller versions of its mother's glowing orbs, bright blue and full of curiosity. Up at Taemin and made a tiny mewing sound. "I think it's hungry," Taemin said. Neolai immediately lifted her head and made a calling sound. The cub in Taemin's lap tried to stand on wobbly legs, then tumbled back down. Taemin gently picked it up and carried it to its mother. But as soon as the cub finished nursing, it crawled back to Taemin. It seemed to have decided that he was part of its family now. "The bonding process is fascinating," Soyoung observed. "The cub sees you as a parent figure, just like its mother." Commander Park entered the cargo bay, moving cautiously. She had insisted on meeting Hanula personally. Despite the potential risks, Hanula watched the commander approach but showed no signs of alarm. When Commander Park stopped a respectful distance away and bowed slightly, Hanula responded with a dignified nod of her head. Incredible, Commander Park said. It's like she understands military protocol. I think she understands a lot more than we realize, Taman said. The Star Wolves are clearly intelligent. Maybe as intelligent as humans, just in a different way. Dr. Hiram Song's voice came through the intercom. Dr. Keem, I'm receiving some interesting reports from the alien crew members. They're saying the death song has changed to something they call life song. They can sense that something positive has happened. The electromagnetic field has completely changed character, Engineer Minsu added, instead of chaotic distress. Signals it's generating a steady, peaceful pattern. It's actually having a calming effect on the station's systems. Commander Park knelt down carefully, staying at a distance that wouldn't threaten Hanyul. Dr. Kim, I need to ask you something important. What do we do now? We can't keep a family of Star Wolves on a research station permanently. Taman looked down at the cub that had crawled back into his lap. I don't think they want to stay permanently. I think Hanyulai came here for a specific purpose. What purpose? To renew the bond. To let us know that her people remember the friendship with my ancestor. And maybe, double quotes, he paused thinking. Maybe to ask for help. Help with what? Before Taman could answer, Hanula stood up. She moved carefully, mindful of her remaining cub, and approached a section of the cargo bay wall. She placed her paw against the metal, and her crystal fur began to glow. What's she doing? Commander Park asked. The metal wall began to shimmer. Lines of light appeared, forming patterns and shapes.
Oh.
It looked almost like a star map. She's communicating. Dr. Song's voice came through the intercom. The electromagnetic field is creating a visual display. I'm recording everything. The light patterns on the wall showed star systems, travel routes, and what looked like different planets. Some of the planets were glowing brightly, others were dim or dark. It's a map of Star Wolf territories, Taman realized. She's showing us where her people live. More patterns appeared. Some showed Star Wolves living peacefully. Others showed conflict, danger, dark shapes that seemed to represent threats. They're in trouble, Commander Park said quietly. Huh, Noel Dash. I turned away from the wall and looked directly at Taman. She made a series of soft sounds, almost like she was speaking. I wish I could understand what she's saying, Taman said. The cub in his lap suddenly chirped. It was a small sound, but it was different from its earlier mewing. It sounded almost like it was trying to copy its mother's communication. The cub is learning to speak, Saw Young said in amazement. Its mother's vocalizations. Hanyulai approached Taman and gently nuzzled his hand. Then she did something unexpected. She began to hum. It was a low musical sound that seemed to vibrate through the whole cargo bay. As she hummed, her crystal fur glowed in rhythm with the melody. The cub in Taman's lap began to glow in the same rhythm. It's beautiful, Commander Park whispered. It's more than beautiful, Dr. Song said. I'm detecting complex information patterns in that humming. She's not just making music, she's transmitting data. The humming continued for several minutes. As it did, Taman felt something strange happening. Images began to form in his mind. It's not his own thoughts, but something else. Memories that weren't his own. He saw vast starships made of crystal and metal piloted by Star Wolves. He saw peaceful planets where Star Wolves and other species lived together. He saw his ancestor, Dr. Woojin Kim, working alongside the original Hanol to build something important. Then he saw the darkness, aggressive species that attack Star Wolf territories. Planets being destroyed, Star Wolves fleeing from their homes, scattered across the galaxy. She's showing me what happened, Taman said, his eyes wide. The Star Wolves are refugees. Their homeworlds were attacked. They've been wandering the galaxy, looking for a safe place to rebuild. The humming stopped. Anulai looked at Taman with hopeful eyes. And they want our help, Commander Park said. More than that, Taman said. They want to honor the old alliance. The bond that Dr. Woojin Kim made with the original Hanyul. They're offering to share their knowledge, their technology, their friendship. But only if we're willing to help them find a new home. Commander Park stood up slowly.
Doctor.
Kim, do you understand what this means? If we help the Star Wolves, we could gain access to technology and knowledge that could advance human civilization by centuries. And if we don't help them, Taman said, we lose the chance to honor a promise our ancestors made. We lose the trust of an entire species. The cub in his lap made a small sound and curled up closer to him. Its crystal fur pulsed gently with warm light. I know what my ancestor would have done, Taman said. He would have helped. Commander Park nodded. And that's what we'll do. I'll contact Fleet Command immediately. We'll need to organize a proper diplomatic mission. Anyola seemed to sense that a decision had been made. She made a sound that was clearly one of gratitude. Then she approached the wall again and created a new light pattern. This one showed a specific star system, not too far from their current location. A system with several planets, one of which was highlighted in bright blue. She's showing us where they want to go, Dr. Song said. Those coordinates are in our star charts. It's an unexplored system about 6 light years from here. It's perfect for a new start, Commander Park said. As the light patterns faded, Hanyulai returned to her resting place. But she kept looking at Taman and the cub in his lap. I think she wants you to keep the cub, Saw Young said, as a permanent bond between our species. Taman looked down at the tiny creature that had already claimed him as family. What do you think, little one? Do you want to stay with me? The cub looked up at him with bright, intelligent eyes and made a sound that seemed very much like yes. Then it's settled, Commander Park said. We have a new alliance to build. As night cycle began on the station, Taman remained in the cargo bay with his new family. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new preparations for a historic mission. But tonight, he simply sat with Hanyulai and her cubs, reading Korean poetry aloud, while the Star Wolves listened with glowing eyes. 8 centuries of separation had ended. The real adventure was just beginning. 2 weeks later, Kepler 7 Research Station had become the most important location in human space. Fleet Command had arrived with 3 diplomatic vessels and their best scientists. Representatives from the major alien species had come to witness what everyone was calling the most significant first contact event in galactic history. The station's corridors buzzed with activity as preparations were made for the mission to the star. Wolfholm System Tae-Min stood in the newly constructed Cultural Exchange Center, watching as Hanilei demonstrated Starwolf technology to a group of amazed human engineers. The tiny cub he had named Bile, meaning star, was sleeping in a specially designed carrier on his back. The energy conversion efficiency is incredible, Engineer Min Zuhan said, studying the readings from Hanyuli's demonstration. They can convert electromagnetic energy directly into matter manipulation. It's like they're living fusion reactors. Dr. Yunesio Kung, the station's linguist, was making remarkable progress in establishing formal communication protocols. Star Wolves don't just communicate with sounds, she explained to the gathered scientists. They use electromagnetic patterns, crystal resonance, and something that might be telepathic projection. It's a complete sensory language. Commander Park approached Taman carrying a datapad with mission updates. Fleet Command has approved the expedition, she said. We launch in 3 days. The diplomatic vessel Harmony will carry you, Hanya. And her cubs to the coordinates she provided. How? What about the other Star Wolves? Taman asked. Hanyolai made it clear that there are many refugee groups scattered across the galaxy. That's phase 2 of the mission. Once we establish contact with the main group and help them settle in the new system, we'll work on locating and gathering the other refugees. On the other side of the room, Dr. So Young Choi was running medical scans on the visiting alien delegates. Something remarkable had happened since Hanyuli's arrival. The other alien species, who had initially been terrified of the Star Wolves, were now showing intense curiosity. The Vex delegation is requesting formal meetings with Hanyulai, Dr. Hiram Song reported. They say the electromagnetic patterns the Star Wolves generate are similar to their own communication methods. The Luminari are even more interested, Commander Park added. Apparently Starwolf crystal fur technology could revolutionize their energy systems. Taman watched as a Korth ambassador carefully approached Hanyul. The reptilian being had been one of the most frightened when she first arrived. Now, he was offering her a traditional Korth gift of polished stones. Hanyula accepted the gift graciously. touching each stone with her nose before setting them carefully in front of her. Then she did something that made everyone in the room stop talking. She picked up one of her own crystal fur strands that had naturally shed and offered it to the Korth ambassador. "She's making a gift exchange," Dr. Song said in wonder. "She understands diplomatic protocol." The Korth ambassador accepted the crystal fur with obvious reverence. When he touched it, it began to glow softly, responding to his bioelectric field. "Incredible," breathed Dr. Kong. "The crystal fur is adapting to his physiology. It's creating a communication bridge." Suddenly, the Korth ambassador spoke in perfect Federation standard, something he had never been able to do before. "I can understand," he said, his voice filled with amazement. "The thoughts are clearer. The words come easier." Hanyule made a pleased sound and her fur glowed brighter. She's not just offering technology, Taemin realized. She's offering to help solve communication problems between all species. Star wolves could be translators, bridges between different forms of life. Admiral Jinwoo Park, Commander Park's father and the head of the diplomatic mission, entered the cultural center. He was a tall, stern man who had initially been skeptical. "About the entire operation, Dr. Kim," he said. "I've just received word from the exploration scouts. They've reached the star system Hanyulai indicated. What they found there is ... remarkable." He activated a holographic display showing the scout ship's findings. The system had 7 planets, but one in particular caught everyone's attention. It was covered in crystal formations that looked almost like cities. "An ancient Star Wolf civilization," Admiral Park explained. "The scouts report that the planet shows signs of having been inhabited for thousands of years, but it's been abandoned. For centuries, the crystal cities are intact but empty." Hanyulai approached the holographic display. When she saw the images of the crystal cities, she made a sound that was clearly one of recognition and sadness. Her people's original homeworld, Taemin said. They had to abandon it when the attacks began. Hanali touched the hologram with her paw, and the crystal cities began to glow in response to her electromagnetic field. Even through the recording, her people's ancient technology was responding to her presence. "The planet is habitable, Admiral," Park continued. "The crystal cities could house millions of star wolves. But there's more. The scouts detected massive data storage systems built into the crystal structures. The entire history and knowledge of Star Wolf civilization is preserved there." Dr. Kong looked up from her linguistic analysis. "Admiral, if we could access that knowledge, imagine what we could learn. Star Wolf civilization is clearly much older than our own. They might have solutions to problems we haven't even discovered yet." "That's exactly what Fleet Command is thinking," Admiral Park said. "Isn't just a rescue mission anymore. It's a partnership that could benefit every species in the galaxy." Little Bile stirred in his carrier and made a small chirping sound. Taemin reached back to gently stroke the cub's crystal fur, and Bile settled back to sleep. "There's something else," Admiral Park said. "The scouts found evidence of other species living in the crystal cities alongside the Star Wolves. This wasn't just a Star Wolf world. It was a multi-species civilization. Like what we're building here on the station," Commander Park said. "Exactly. Star Wolves have experience creating successful multi-species societies. They could teach us how to build better relationships between all the galactic civilizations." Hanula approached Taemin and gently nuzzled his hand. Then she looked around the room at all the different species working together, learning from each other. Her crystal fur glowed with what seemed like satisfaction. "She's pleased," Dr. Song said. "The electromagnetic patterns show contentment and hope." "She should be pleased," Admiral Park said. "What we're planning here could change the course of galactic history." Over the next 3 days, preparations for the mission continued. The ship Harmony was loaded with supplies, scientific equipment, and gifts for the Star Wolf refugees. Representatives from each major species would accompany the mission to help establish the new multi-species colony. On the morning of departure, Taemin stood in the cargo bay where he had first met Hanyule. The space had been transformed into a comfortable living area for the Star Wolf family. Malai was teaching her cubs how to control their growing electromagnetic abilities. Bile practiced his first attempts at crystal fur manipulation. "Ready for the next adventure?" Commander Park asked, joining him at the observation window. I think so, Taman said. Though I never imagined when I got that first emergency alert that it would lead to this. Your ancestor would be proud, Commander, Park said. Dr. Woojin Kim started something 800 years ago that has changed the galaxy. Through the window, they could see the ship Harmony docked at the station. It was sleek and powerful, designed for long-range diplomatic missions. Soon it would carry them to a new world where an ancient civilization would be reborn. Dr. Kim. Came Admiral Park's voice over the intercom. All crews report ready for departure. Taman picked up Bile, who immediately curled into a comfortable position in his arms. Hanyule gathered her other cub and approached the cargo bay exit. As they walked toward the ship, crew members from every species lined the corridors. Humans, Vex, Luminari, Korth, and others all watched with respect as the Starwolf family passed. When they reached the ship's entrance, Anuli paused and looked back at the station. She made a long, musical sound that echoed through the corridors. It was a song of gratitude, of farewell, and of promise. Then she looked at Timon and made a softer sound, one that needed no translation. You're welcome, Timon said in Korean. Family helps family. As the ship departed Kepler 7 station, Taman stood in the observation deck with Hanyul and her cubs. The stars stretched out before them, full of possibilities. Behind them, the station continued its work, now enhanced by Starwolf technology and wisdom. Ahead of them lay a new world where refugees would become pioneers, where ancient knowledge would guide new discoveries. The galaxy was changing, and at the center of that change was a simple truth that Dr. Woojin Kim had discovered 8 centuries ago. When different species treat each other with respect and kindness, amazing things become possible. Bial made a small sound and looked up at Taman with bright, curious eyes. In those eyes, Taman saw the future, a future where humans and starwolves and all the species of the galaxy would work together to build something wonderful. The bond between the stars had been renewed. The real journey was just beginning. As the ship jumped to hyperspace, carrying its precious cargo toward a new home, Henyola began to hum. It was the same melody she had hummed in the cargo bay, but now her cubs joined in with their small voices. It was a song of hope, of family, of connections that transcended time and space. It was the song of the future.